The morning sea was calm, too calm for what was about to unfold. Far beyond the gentle waves, a gray silhouette cut across the horizon. The USS Gerald R. Ford, America's most advanced aircraft carrier, now steaming toward the Caribbean. It wasn't a routine patrol, it was a statement. Silent, deliberate, and heavy with meaning. For months, Washington had watched the southern waters with unease. Rising tensions around Venezuela, the increasing presence of foreign vessels, and a surge in illicit maritime activity had turned the Caribbean, a region long associated with trade and tourism, into a stage of geopolitical calculation. On October 26, 2025, that calculation moved into action. The deployment order came directly from the Pentagon. The Ford-class carrier, escorted by a strike group of destroyers, cruisers, submarines, and logistical ships, would establish a forward presence in Latin American waters. Officially, the mission was to ensure regional stability and protect the maritime domain from criminal threats. Unofficially, it was also to remind every observer that the United States still commands the oceans. From the outside, the Gerald R. Ford looks like a city at sea, a steel island stretching over 1,000 feet, home to more than 5,000 sailors and aviators. But beneath its decks lies a fusion of engineering and power, electromagnetic launch systems, advanced radar networks, and next-generation F-35C Lightning II jets ready for launch at a moment's notice. As the ship left the Norfolk Naval Base, the world's attention quietly shifted. Satellite images showed a flotilla cutting south through the Atlantic. Analysts across Washington, London, and Madrid began decoding the signal. Why now? Why the Caribbean? The official brief from the U.S. Southern Command explained that this movement was part of Operation Sentinel Current, an ongoing effort to combat smuggling, illegal fishing, and transnational threats. But the context told a deeper story. In the past 6 months, intelligence reports had confirmed an uptick in covert arms transfers, energy shipments, and drone surveillance flights near Venezuelan waters. Something was stirring beneath the surface of Latin America's calm seas. On board the carrier, sailors went about their routines with the precision of a machine. Jet fuel trucks rolled across the deck. Pilots reviewed strike simulations. Technicians monitored radar feeds stretching hundreds of miles out to sea. For most of them, this wasn't politics, it was duty. Yet, everyone understood. A single wrong signal, one misinterpreted radar contact could alter the balance of an entire region. Meanwhile, in Washington, defense analysts looked at spreadsheets instead of maps. Every deployment carries a cost, hundreds of millions of dollars in fuel, logistics, and maintenance. But every deployment also carries a message. Deterrence isn't cheap, but absence is far costlier. The presence of the Ford meant billions of dollars in shipbuilding, technology, and supply chains were now in motion. From Virginia shipyards to Texas refineries, from Iowa farms to Caribbean ports. This was not just a military movement. It was an economic wave. Global markets took notice. Shares of defense contractors ticked upward. Oil traders speculated on disruptions near Venezuelan crude routes. Financial news outlets linked the deployment to renewed U.S. interest in hemispheric security, a term that hadn't been headline material in decades. Yet the real significance went beyond numbers. The Caribbean has always been a mirror of America's global reach. During the Cold War, it was the front line of missile crises and shadow diplomacy. In the 21st century, it became a corridor for humanitarian aid, disaster response, and counter-narcotics operations. But now, with the Gerald R. Ford arriving, it was again transforming, this time into a test of 21st century naval doctrine. The Ford represents a shift not only in technology, but in philosophy. Traditional carriers were built for wars of attrition. This one is built for wars of precision. Its electromagnetic catapults reduce wear on aircraft. Its digital networks allow real-time coordination with space and cyber assets. Its reactors give it enough power to operate for decades without refueling. It is both fortress and symbol, warship and warning. In one sense, the deployment can be read as reassurance to allies in the Americas that Washington still stands guard over shared waters. In another sense, it is a subtle challenge to any actor seeking to test how far American reach still extends. Neither interpretation is wrong. Both are intentional. Reporters aboard the escorting destroyer USS Thomas Hudner described the atmosphere as calm but focused. The crew was briefed daily on new intelligence about maritime traffic, potential encounters, and diplomatic signals. Drones operated from the Ford's deck mapped routes used by unregistered vessels, while P-8A Poseidon aircraft from Florida provided high-altitude overwatch. Every sighting was logged, every blip analyzed. By late October, the strike group had entered the heart of the Caribbean Sea. Fishing boats slowed their routes. Cargo captains adjusted bearings. Even tourist liners altered itineraries. Few wanted to share lanes with the world's most powerful warship. From San Juan to Cartagena, local news broadcasts discussed the carrier's silhouette seen from shorelines at dusk, an unfamiliar reminder of global power drifting close to home. In Washington, spokespeople repeated the same line. The United States remains committed to ensuring the safety of international waters. But the tone behind those words suggested more than just policing. This was deterrence by presence, a demonstration that the Navy could appear anywhere, anytime, without warning. Still, within think tanks and defense circles, a quiet debate began. Was this deployment overreach or foresight? Some argued that the move risked escalation with regional actors sympathetic to rival powers. Others countered that a carrier group's very existence prevents escalation, because when power is visible, conflict hesitates. Back aboard the Ford, night fell over the deck. The horizon burned orange as the sun dipped behind clouds. From the command bridge, the ocean stretched endlessly, a vast theater where every ripple could hide intent. The ship's radar spun, steady, patient. Somewhere below, an engine thrummed at constant rhythm, mechanical heartbeat of a nation's promise. For those aboard, the mission was clear: maintain presence, project stability, prepare for uncertainty. For those watching from afar, the message was equally clear: the Caribbean is no longer quiet. This was the opening act, a show of readiness, a rehearsal of deterrence, a preview of the narratives that would shape the coming months. The Ford wasn't just sailing south, it was sailing into history, into diplomacy, and into the calculations of every strategist who still believed that the sea decides the fate of nations. And as the waves closed behind her hull, one truth lingered in the minds of sailors and statesmen alike. The world doesn't wait for calm seas. It sails through them. As the USS Gerald R. Ford carved its path through the Caribbean waters, the scene was both awe-inspiring and meticulously orchestrated. From the flight deck to the command bridge, every action reflected years of planning, training, and strategic foresight. The carrier strike group accompanying her, destroyers, cruisers, submarines, and supply vessels, moved in precision, like the pieces of a grand chessboard set over an ocean that stretches thousands of miles. Observers on shorelines and in satellite offices across the globe could only glimpse fragments of the operation, but those fragments told a story of modern naval power. Jets lined the flight deck, engines roaring, ready for takeoff at a moment's notice. Helicopters hovered, scanning the waters for anomalies. Radar arrays and electronic sensors pulsed across the vast network of vessels, continuously mapping both surface and subsurface activity. In the cockpit of an FA-18, pilots conducted rehearsals for scenarios that ranged from interception to humanitarian evacuation, all in real time. But beneath the spectacle lay the invisible engine of modern naval operations: intelligence, logistics, and coordination. Each maneuver was informed by satellite feeds, drone reconnaissance, and predictive analytics. These systems were the nerve center of the operation. They allowed commanders to monitor potential threats hundreds of miles away, anticipate movements of regional actors, and plan contingencies without revealing their own hand. In essence, the Ford was both shield and signal, a floating fortress broadcasting a message of readiness while remaining unpredictable to any potential adversary. As the strike group approached strategic choke points, local shipping traffic responded. Merchant vessels adjusted routes, fishing fleets altered schedules, and private mariners kept wary distance. The deployment had a subtle but immediate impact on the flow of commerce. Even beyond direct observation, the ripple effects of such a powerful presence were evident in regional economics. Insurance rates for maritime routes saw minor adjustments. Logistics companies monitored the movements for potential delays. Ports and terminals prepared for the possible arrival of Allied support ships or humanitarian missions. On the bridge of the Gerald R. Ford, the captain reviewed mission directives with his officers. Orders from the Pentagon emphasized operational discretion, maintain visibility without provocation, avoid unnecessary escalation, but remain prepared for rapid engagement if required. Every decision, from navigation to aircraft readiness, was layered with strategic implications. Each maneuver contributed not only to the immediate mission, but also to the broader theater of influence the United States sought to maintain in the Western Hemisphere. The political dimension of the operation was as complex as its tactical one. Washington's decision to deploy a carrier strike group was carefully timed. Regional governments were observing closely, assessing both risk and alignment. Allies in the Caribbean, including several coastal nations, were briefed discreetly to ensure coordination on maritime security and intelligence sharing. Meanwhile, international observers, diplomats, analysts, and even adversarial governments interpreted the movement as a statement about U.S. strategic priorities. It was a classic exercise in power projection, demonstrating that the Navy's reach extends far beyond conventional borders. In the skies above, F-35C fighters executed training drills while drones scanned the horizon. Every sortie and every pattern of movement sent a message. The U.S. Navy was ready for any eventuality, from counter-narcotics operations to full-scale crisis response. Advanced communication systems linked ships across the strike group, ensuring seamless coordination. From the command center to the deck crew, everyone understood that their actions were amplified beyond the immediate operation. They shaped perceptions and influenced decisions in capitals thousands of miles away. Meanwhile, analysts and strategists on land examined the deployment from multiple angles. Beyond the immediate military considerations, they calculated the economic, diplomatic, and technological ripple effects. Defense contractors already working with the Navy on maintenance and supply monitored fleet logistics. Shipyards and fuel suppliers tracked consumption patterns. The carrier's operation was not just a military maneuver, it was a convergence of strategy, technology, and finance. Every dollar spent ensured operational readiness and signaled strength to allies and adversaries alike. The human element aboard the ships was equally crucial. Sailors maintained their routines with the discipline of a machine, but the awareness of humans in a high-stakes environment. Flight deck crews coordinated takeoffs and landings under the glare of floodlights and the roar of jet engines. Engineers monitored reactors and propulsion systems, ensuring uninterrupted power. Officers analyzed sensor data to anticipate potential maritime threats. Across the strike group, teams worked in perfect synchronization, a testament to rigorous training and leadership. In one instance, a high-speed patrol detected an unregistered vessel approaching an international corridor. Within minutes, the carrier's intelligence team cross-referenced satellite imagery and regional reports. The vessel was flagged, tracked, and intercepted by an accompanying destroyer. The operation concluded without incident, but the message was clear. Maritime boundaries were actively monitored, and any anomaly was addressed swiftly and decisively. This deployment also highlighted the integration of technology with traditional naval power. Autonomous drones patrolled regions too distant or hazardous for manned ships. AI-assisted analytics provided real-time insights into vessel movements, weather patterns, and potential threats. Cybersecurity measures ensured that the carrier's communications remained secure against intrusion or disruption. The USS Gerald R. Ford was no longer just a ship. It was a node in a vast, dynamic network combining human skill and technological advantage. As the sun set over the Caribbean, the strike group's silhouettes reflected on the calm waters. masking the intensity of operations underway. For most observers, the scene was breathtaking, yet serene. For those within the Navy, every sunset represented an opportunity to refine strategy, maintain vigilance, and reinforce readiness. It was both a test of endurance and an exhibition of capability. For viewers watching this unfold, the takeaway is multifaceted. The deployment demonstrated America's ability to project power rapidly, the strategic importance of forward naval presence, and the delicate balance between deterrence and diplomacy. The story is not just about ships and jets. It is about logistics, strategy, and the interconnectedness of modern military operations with global economic and political currents. As the night deepened, the strike group remained alert, engines humming, radar scanning, and aircraft ready. It was a scene that blended tradition with innovation, power with precision, and visibility with subtlety. The USS Gerald R. Ford and its accompanying vessels were not merely moving through the Caribbean. They were shaping the environment, influencing decisions, and demonstrating the enduring reach of naval capability. The stage was now set for what would unfold over the coming weeks. A demonstration of readiness, strategic influence, and operational excellence that would be analyzed by leaders, observers, and historians alike. The deployment was not a fleeting event. It was a declaration, a rehearsal, and a reminder that maritime dominance is as much about foresight and coordination as it is about raw power. And as dawn approached on the following day, the strike group continued its vigil, every crew member aware that history was being made, not in headlines, but in actions measured in nautical miles, flight patterns, and the silent hum of a carrier moving steadily toward its mission.